When I was in the 4th grade, my teacher, Miss Lucas, handed me a book titled Redwall, written by Brian Jaquez. The book had a red cover and looked as if it had never been read before. The next thing that I noticed was the size of the book. Before that time, I was still reading simple novels with large font and even some picture books. I had rarely read anything over 100 pages before, but this book was over 300 pages. The sheer size of the book overwhelmed me. As I stood there looking at the book, I guess my teacher noticed my expression. She then told me that she knew I could read it, and I should just try it out. If I didn't like it, I didn't have to finish it. That night, I went home and opened the book and started skimming through the first few pages. The first thing that I noticed was a large map that labeled a vast kingdom. I studied this map for a while and then started the first chapter. Most books that I had previously read started off slow and boring. However, Redwall did not. The book began telling the story of a brave warrior and it introduced most of the main characters. One thing that I noticed was that all of the characters had long and complicated names, such as Clooney the Scrooge and Tissermania Green Eyes. The names were a mouthful, but the lengths of their names helped in remembering who they were and what they did. The names also showed me how broad the author's imagination was. I found it incredible that someone could come up with such a huge kingdom with all these characters with complicated names. Intrigued by the author's imagination, I kept on reading. As I read, I continuously came across large words that I had never heard before. I usually used context clues to figure out what they meant, but if I couldn't, I wrote them down and looked them up in the dictionary. This was the beginning to the word log that helped improve my vocabulary tremendously. For the next few years or so, I continued reading even during the summer. I still kept a word log for every book I read. I believe my love for reading during this time expanded my knowledge of literacy more than it had ever been. Throughout the next years of my life, I had accomplished many achievements in literacy, such as making a perfect score in the EOC. I had also accomplished small things such as making A's in my honors English classes. Seeing this enormous imagination of authors and how they make connections also helped me when I was writing. It was easy for me to expand on topics and think outside the box. Reflecting back, I think the majority of my skills came from simply reading a large amount of the Redwall series. Reading Redwall helped me expand my vocabulary and seek creative concepts I had never witnessed before. Learning about these things are what helped my literacy skills improve drastically and made me into the reader and writer I am today.